Good morning, everybody. Mike Wright from Edge Home Finance, and we're here for the Realtor of the Week episode. However, I'm going to not use the term Realtor of the Week with my friend here, but he is Bill Pankonin is a tremendous friend of mine, and we've known one another for years. He is the regional owner of Exit Realty. Thank you very much for coming on as our quote-unquote Realtor of the Week, you know. That's kind of minimizing your role, bud, you know. But we appreciate you coming on.
Right, I appreciate it being here. It's what an opportunity. We've known each other for a long time, so it's kind of good to sit back and kind of talk about what we've kind of done over the years and where this market and where the trends are going. So I'm excited about being here and sharing.
Thank you. With you today. Well, and they say comes age, comes wisdom. So we're going to put this to the test for you, my friend.
That's true.
So I appreciate you've got your son involved with you as a protege, successor. How would you
well, my oldest son Kate is my CFO, and he's my partner, and he's been with me for a long time. I have 6 kids, Mike, so and 3 of them are licensed agents, and I'm second generation. My father was a broker, and so my kids are third generation real estate agents. And so it's my wife always kids, those 3 probably couldn't get real jobs anyway.
Well, I'll tell you what, besides being a hell of a realtor, you make kids well too, evidently. 6 kids.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a family affair, and even one of my daughter-in-laws is an agent. So we're a family surrounded about the real estate industry, and we have been for generations. And so it's really a privilege. Kate is expanding his roles with me. Obviously, he was my managing broker before I sold our real estate company, and took a role as a regional owner for the Upper Midwest. So he's an integral part of the business. We have opposite personalities, so I don't know if you know anything about the DISC training, but I'm an ID and he's a CD, so opposites. It works really well because I create a lot of fire and smoke, and he's behind me trying to keep everything under control.
but that's perfect harmony.
Yeah,
you know what
really
I mean?
Is.
And honestly, like you had talked about, this is expo season, right? And so you can't be everywhere. I know you had stated he was up in Duluth, and
for the Minnesota
you can't
convention.
Be everywhere.
No, we had the Minnesota convention. We just came back this week. We were at the Wisconsin Association of Realtors, and I think the following week it's Iowa and Michigan, and so we've been one of the sponsors of those events for the Realtors Associations in each state. And I've noticed a change over the years, and what it is right now, and most of these, we've been the only real estate franchise company that's been a sponsor through these events.
Oh, good.
For about the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And either I'm doing something really wrong or I'm doing something really right. But I believe it's really important that organization is very important to us all. And so I want to make sure that we're there to be there as part of it, and then help them get, so agents can get educated when they come, get involved in leadership. So it's a lot of fun. I enjoy the conventions, and we like to promote them.
Well, and it's actively engaging with other people, and obviously with the whole settlement deal, there's been a lot of, should we support these associations, and ours especially is under the gun,
right?
On whether, where do we go from here,
right?
And so what's kind of been your stance with all of this?
Obviously, I'm an advocate of it because I understand how lobbying works, and I've been an agent for 4 decades and a broker here in Minnesota, and the more you get involved in the leadership with it, you can see a lot of the benefits that we don't have to worry about certain things, and lawsuits were part of them, and so it's a new era. But when I first started in the real estate business, we had a 1-page purchase agreement and a 1-page listing. As the years go on, we just keep on adding more pages, right? Yes. So it's kind of what we did here again. In reality, it's not that hard. So we just added some more pages to the agreements, and we're still selling real estate. and real estate agents are going to be needed, and because if you know as well as I do, if you got a first-time home buyer that you pre-approved, they're going to need a qualified person to take them through to help them make good decisions and understand what the parameters associated with buying a real estate. So, and I'm a big supporter of certain parts of the of NAR as well. So I'm a big advocate of Women's Council Realtors. Last year we had out of our agents across the states, I had 7 chapter presidents.
Wow.
And that's unheard of, because I've seen what that organization has done for these agents. I mean, it's helped them become really good speakers. It's grown their confidence. They turn into great leaders. And I don't know if you know this or not, but the average income of an agent for WCR is $134,000 a year, so about 3 times the national average, just in that organization alone. Wow. So I'm a big advocate of it. And last week, while we were in Wisconsin, one of my agents from Milwaukee just became the president for Wisconsin for WCR.
Oh, good.
So and 4 or 5 years ago, she came from from Kansas City, moved to Milwaukee, single mom, not knowing anybody.
Wow. Good
Isn't
for
that
her.
great? Isn't that great?
I love the initiative, because so often with all this stuff, people sit in the background and chirp, 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 chirp. Get involved. You got to get involved. That's
where leaders are. I mean, that's where I find leaders, and that's why I want to continue to get more people involved and stand up for what we have here. And it's not always take. You got to give back all the time. You know what I mean?
I think that sums up kind of the whole settlement deal. It's just not paycheck. People realize the importance, and they can see through the superficial, I want your money. And you got to add value. But I applaud the ladies for doing this and getting involved and being in leadership. So, Exit Realty, you are in 13 states.
Yes. One thing I've watched over the years, Mike, I share with you, and you probably have seen this too. My father was a real estate agent, a broker. He owned his own company, but he was also a farmer and a rancher. Yeah. So what he always told me in real estate, he says, real estate's just like farming. Every 10 years, you have 3 really good years, 3 really bad years, and 4 years, you're just happy to be around.
Amen to that.
So look how we started in 2020. We started out with a pandemic. Then we went to a crazy real estate market with the lowest interest rates I've ever been involved with.
Correct. Yep.
And then we went to higher interest rates with no inventory. And now we're going to get moved to another era, I believe, because I think the silver tsunami is finally coming, because it was quashed because of the pandemic and the interest rates and everything else. But I was at the Minnesota Housing Summit, Senior Summit yesterday, and they said here in 2025, every day 10,000 people every day will turn 75.
Wow.
Because the baby boomers are the largest group. So we're going to start seeing some changes in the industry. And I think 2025 and 26 are going to be some really good years. I think interest rates are going to settle down, and I'm excited about the future. So 13 states, we made that decision. Every time I've expanded, it's usually been when things aren't very good, and that's when I have my most success. Yeah. I just got involved as a regional owner. It was about 11 years ago. Wow. And so I started here, and this was 2000. And after I worked with corporate for a year, 2012 management, and then 2013 I bought in. And during 2012, everybody I talked to was not interested in a real estate franchise or expanding, because they were still looking over their shoulders from the recession. Of course. Yep. But the sting was still there. Yep. So I looked at what the Minnesota stats were, and we had prior to the recession, we had about 25,000 agents in the state, and now we were down to about 15,000. Right. Well, history shows we always repeat ourselves. So I knew we'd go back to 25,000. Yeah. So timing again. So instead of buying what they asked me with just the state of Minnesota, I decided to make a business decision and include Iowa and North and South Dakota. Now, I'm going to like to tell you that I'm a great businessman and I had this all planned out and cash flow and pro formas. I really didn't. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm humble enough to admit sometimes how we make decisions and you go like, what in the world were you thinking? But corporate kind of looked at me because Tammy Bunnell flew to my office from Boston and said, she was the president then. She's the co-chair of the company, and said, you want to do 4 instead of 1? I said, yeah. I said, and here's my thinking. My youngest son, Spencer, was going in to play ball, college basketball at Northern State University. So the conference he's in includes, Winona, Mankato, and Duluth and all those. So he was going to be playing ball in a different town other than home games Friday and Saturday night anyway. So my theory was I would stop in those towns, talk to agents, and kind of get to know him over the period of while he's going to school, watch a ball game, and see what happens. Well, it took him 5 years to get through school. He got hurt 1 year, so he redshirted. But we started with 8 offices in these 4 states, about 100 agents. And at the end of 5 years, we had 40 offices and obviously more agents. So I'd like to say I was really a smart businessman, but it was kind of based on basketball and visiting real estate agents.
And I'm going to add something. He's an avid fishing person and hunting person. So lo and behold, Colorado is added, all these beautiful areas.
Yeah.
So
that's one of the side benefits of being able to travel and see some of these people.
We're just going to call a spade, Bill. Let's do this. So why exit? You know what I mean? I mean, I know that you are expanding it. You love the company. Why exit? There's all these different companies to choose from that would love to have you.
Well, when I first, before I went with exit, I was being courted by a lot of the large franchise companies, and because my office was independent. And I'm a numbers guy, so I mean, I understand the underwriting process very well, and for me, a couple of different reasons. I actually found exit by accident. I happened to be down in Florida and talking with an agent down there. I was representing a client that was going back and forth, Fort Myers area we just talked about, and he told me the story behind exit, and I went, this is really interesting. So for me, as a person that was an independent looking to perhaps buy a franchise, they had a 5-year contract instead of a 10-year contract. And to me, that was important because I had never bought a franchise before.
Right.
So I thought in 3 years, if I hate him, I'm married to him for another 7 years.
Yeah, right.
So that was important to me. They also let me do my own thing. I still own my own company. I had to say, and I had to make up my own rules as because it's my company.
How you run the business.
They just helped me and guided me. And I wanted some technology and training. I really wanted good training because I saw that as a flaw in our industry. So that was important to me. That the cherry on top of the ice cream was their unique formula that nobody else in the industry has. And that is where if you introduce an agent to our company, this unique formula, anywhere nationwide, Exit Realty International pays that agent directly 10% of every transaction up to $10,000 a year as long as that agent's with the company. So it's every year.
Profit sharing type deal?
Well, actually, it's 10% of the gross commission.
Wow.
And it's a single level, so we don't have to worry about multi-level. We don't have to worry about profit sharing. And we're not a publicly traded company.
Yeah,
so we don't have to answer to board stockholders, on Wall Street. So this money comes to agents in between closings because they don't really have control because they don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
So I always give this scenario. I would say, and you know this as well because you've been in the mortgage industry for a long time.
Yep.
We've all had months where, let's say, for example, I have 2 closings this month, and let's say if anything could go wrong with my files, it did, right? So I got a bad roof, and the house is the garage is on the neighbor's lot.
Yep.
So now it gets pushed into the next month, right?
Yep.
So with any other model, I got a goose egg. That's not a very good deal as a real estate agent.
Right.
But with us, let's say, for example, just being a nice person and sharing and inviting people to our company, that you're having a good time, you're being trained, you're being supported, the broker has your back. And so let's say, for example, those 3 agents I invited to the company each had 2 closings like I would have had that month.
Right.
Well, in that particular case, I'll get paid on 6 transactions that month 10% of the gross commission,
Right.
and versus a goose egg. Now, if I would have had those 2 closings plus the 6, it's even a better month.
Correct.
I could give you thousands, literally thousands of stories where that money came in at just
Of
the
course.
right time.
Usually does.
Yeah.
But
And
I like that model. I mean, and I think that is symbolic on why you just talked about that you'd opened up 4 new franchises. Good for you this summer.
yeah, which is unusual. It's the summertime, but here's the secret behind it. Because here's what we do: we do a simple math. When I meet with somebody who wants to, hey, I want to have my own company, or maybe I'm a team leader, I'm paying all this money in, and so what we do is we just say, how much are you paying in? And we write it all down. Here's how much it takes to run a company, and usually it's a pay raise.
Yeah.
So
right.
and so one of the gals that we sold the franchise, she said, "Bill, this is a no-brainer." I said, "That's kind of what I thought." But the numbers do the talking. I don't do the talking.
Yeah.
The numbers do the talking, and so for them now, for the first time, they have the ability to start creating equity in a company they own versus renting their career.
Correct. Yeah.
And so that goes a long ways. Now they can starting a generational thing if they so choose to for their family, and get paid for all the hard work of being an owner, right?
No, I love it. I've had the pleasure of interviewing just recently Greg Schmidt,
Well, yes.
who is just a phenomenal guy.
Yes.
And then, of course, Craig Nestor.
Yeah.
That guy, he is my brother from another mother, I mean, I like that man. And
Yeah.
he is so influential on how I have moved this forward.
Yep.
He's just a good guy.
He
and
is.
so you've surrounded yourself with, like yourself, good leaders. And
Great leaders.
when you sell a franchise, you're not saying, boom, I'm out. You guys are involved heavily with
Mm-hmm.
making sure they succeed, correct?
Yeah, it's really important to me because now they're my family.
Yeah.
And I treat everybody like family. I came from a big family. I have a big family, and so they get love and respect because I think that's what they should have.
Yes.
So and I want them to succeed in the worst way. I want them to succeed. There's nothing makes me more happy than for them to give me a call and saying, "Hey, Bill, my company's grown enough for the first time in my life. I don't have to sell real estate if I don't want to."
Correct.
That just warms my heart,
Yeah,
right? Even something as simple as the other day of getting this gal I was telling you about who became president of the WCR in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Tammy Bunnell called her directly when she was coming out of a store, and she gets a call from Tammy. Well, she's the co-chairman of the company,
Right. Wow.
and says, "Bill said he's really proud of you."
Wow.
Yeah.
That
How does that make that? You think that made her day?
Yeah, please.
See, that's the difference when you really respect people and lead with love. So in reality, Exit is really a mindset company that just happens to sell real estate because our goal is to get people's mindset right so they can be successful.
Right.
Most people can sell real estate.
Yeah.
I'm just looking for leaders who have that entrepreneurial mindset, who want to be a leader. And I have to find the best people in each community because once I do that, they already have a huge sphere in that community. People already like them and love them because they're involved in their community. And then what happens throughout the whole Midwest, we usually end up having market share in that community.
But you bring up a valid point, though, because not every realtor's a great franchise owner.
No, that's exactly
And
right.
so how do you handle all that? Because you and Kate are interviewing these people.
Right.
And it'd be easy there's companies out there, you fogging me or come on. Do this. That's not how you function.
No, you know what? A lot of people probably don't know this, but the average courting time, I'm going to call it for me, and to get the franchise consummated, it's based on a relationship. And believe it or not, it usually takes 1 to 3 years.
Yeah. Oh,
and,
wow.
And out of the 100 people I interview, only 1 to 2% qualify.
Wow.
It's not because I'm tough. It's just because I want to make sure they're the right person.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure they have the talents and what's needed to be a great leader. And are they coachable? Are they trainable? Do they love the real estate industry? Do they love coaching and training and helping out? And, do they have a big heart? All these things come into play. And once we really get to start knowing each other real well,
Yeah.
what happens? Then the trust comes in there, and they know I have their best interest in mind. Now, I've had people make decisions quicker than that, Mike, obviously,
course.
but I've had people, it took 5 years.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
guess
yeah.
what? They grew the largest offices, which, I guess it was worth the 5-year wait, right?
Right.
But that makes me proud to see what's happened. Now, what I didn't think about when I got started with this, Mike, was I helped all these people open offices, and I forgot one thing. I forgot that people got older.
Why does it happen? I don't get it,
So what happened over this last year or so, or last 2 years, is all of a sudden, I'm getting phone calls. Hey, Bill, I'd really like to slow down. I'd like to maybe sell my company. I'd maybe like to go someplace warmer than Minnesota, which pretty much is everywhere in the wintertime. And so I want to keep Exit Realty in that community. So I help them do a merger and acquisition or transition. But it became so easy for me. I started doing it with other franchise brands, and I started doing with independents. So over the last year and a half, we've done almost 18 mergers and acquisitions.
Jeez, that's unbelievable.
And I'm so proud to say that the offices that I have sold, that I've helped maybe start 5 to 10 years ago, I'm getting anywhere between 3 to 5 times the amount than any other franchise brand for them.
Wow.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And I love to
enormous.
see their smiling faces when they because
The exit
it
plan
worked.
is good. Yeah.
It worked,
Well, and I think that here at Edge, we realize, we're starting to realize what you are talking about, where you can just bring people on, bring some stick, some don't, but your reputation has superseded itself with Exit Realty
right.
because of that family mindset. So let's switch gears. 13 different states, and I know the difference between Minnesota real estate right now and Florida real estate. How is it? In a downward market kind of up here, how is in 13 states? Do you see a big variation on how business is?
Well, I see it somewhat. Difference between real estate, what's happening in maybe Denver versus Minneapolis. There's a lot of similarities. It's gotten very expensive in Denver, as you know.
Yep.
I have an office in Durango, Colorado, which is way on the west slope, and you might not believe this, but the average sale price there is $750,000.
Wow.
So, meanwhile, I have offices in southeast Iowa where the average sale price is $175,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what we're seeing is a little bit of a trend, but we also have amongst the rate, we control about almost 100 counties of Fannie Mae foreclosures.
Oh.
So what we're seeing is a little bit of a trend in the rural areas. That's where the spike in foreclosures is happening in the rural areas, not so much in the city.
Right.
And I think that maybe came during the pandemic, I'm guessing, because people moved out there thinking I can work anywhere, and then once they get there saying, well, I can't walk down to Starbucks every morning.
Correct.
I could be wrong, but I'm just kind of guessing.
Door
Just
knocking's a little tougher.
Yeah. So, but overall, real estate's the same in Chicago as here in Minneapolis. It's pretty much the same. I would like to say it's different, but it's really not. What we're seeing in the rural areas, we're seeing the markets are very strong. They're robust, and they've been seeming to hanging on there. And in the big city, it's just more competitive. When I did the acquisition of Illinois, people looked at me like, you got to be crazy. Chicago is so huge. We're talking like 12 million people there. But what I did find out was the fact that they're just like you and me. And, and they want to have a house, and they want to, they want to sell real estate, and so I have some offices that are maybe more with a different ethnic culture.
Yeah.
But
of course.
But they still do the same thing. We're here to sell homes, right?
And I think that what I applaud you for, because I know how busy you are, is you are engaging with these people, again, to keep them active, because it's easy to get disheartened in our industries, right? And so are you finding that people are banking on you or Cade or Craig Nestor more now to get through the tougher times, or?
Well, I think we have a huge advantage because back to the positive mindset, and that is the owner of our company is a big on affirmations.
Yeah.
Okay, so this guy writes 3 to 4 hours every morning, which I can't get through 10 minutes, but somehow he gets through. I mean, but he's been doing it for years.
Yeah.
And he finally but the funny story was he wanted his wife to do them as well, and she just wasn't happening. So one day on a plane, they were traveling somewhere. He wrote some down, and then he gave her like 10 or 12 of them. And all she had to do is write down what he wrote down. So she just copied them.
Right.
And he came up with this idea. That's why people can't do them. They can't roll off that many off their heads.
Yes.
So he came up with this app called Prompter. And anybody can have it. So it's open. It's just Prompter. So prompt TER, right? And it's a free app. And they'll send you anywhere between 10 and 20 affirmations. And you just write them. And then you use the same affirmations 21 days in a row, because the old rule of the habit is after 21 days it becomes a habit.
Right.
And then they send you a new one. So I got really big into the Miracle Morning with Hal Elrod.
Yeah, sure.
And so I took the classes years ago, and I learned to get my butt out of bed and gradually get, and so now we do teaching and training of that throughout all our offices. We actually have a private Facebook group of Miracle Morning. He's our featured speaker this year at our convention. So what that does is it allows our agents to get up in the morning, get their affirmations done for the day, get your mind right, get your meditations, your prayers, your exercise, your coffee, and let's go kick some butt, right?
Yeah. And
that, along with having an additional income stream, even when your sales could be down some, it doesn't hurt as bad.
Yeah. No, I
we haven't seen the fallout. We always aren't going to be the biggest offices. That's not our goal.
Right.
We just want to sell the most real estate.
No, and I love that, how this, like you had talked about, where the lady calls the one person and says, Bill thinks you're amazing. These affirmations, it goes so much beyond just sell. You want well-rounded people.
That's actually
So Greg wanted to, when I interviewed Greg Schmidt, he, after we got done, didn't talk too much about it online, but the AI. AI, he was so proud of what your company has done with that as a resource. Feeding information in so people can get information from that. Is that a concentrated platform for you guys?
Yeah, and this, I'm going to give kudos to Craig Nestor, because he's the one that's been finding the companies. We decided as a company to start. There's so many smart people out there, right, in the world, and technology can change so fast. And what's so nice about our corporation is they listen to us.
Yeah.
So they're nimble enough to change. And that's hard to do with big companies.
Yes.
So change is, so they listen. Everybody has a voice in our company. All our agents have Tammy Bunnell's phone number if they want it. They can have the CEO, they can have the presidents on their phone, and they can talk to them. That's how open we are.
That's big.
We have open lines of communication. So this AI, what we're seeing is we've been bringing on, Craig has brought on some great affiliates, and we've kind of gotten away from the company who tries to develop all their own AI or their own technology.
Correct.
Because that's so expensive, and by the time it comes out, a lot of times you're already behind.
Yep.
So there's so many great companies out there. So his job is to go out there and find the very best, and what we do is we bring it into our agents down to their level. We teach and train, and what I believe what agents needed since the pandemic was hands-on, face-to-face training.
Yes.
And that was evidenced. I found that out this year. Face-to-face has made a big difference, and I found this out by accident. So I went to a Milwaukee Brewers game with a bunch of our offices in the spring, and I'd never been to Milwaukee. I'd never been to the stadium before.
Yeah.
So Kate and I went there, and it was a beautiful spring day. They opened up the roof, and about, I don't know, there must have been 100 of us or so. They put us up on the Johnsonville Brat deck. So we had beer and food, and it was fun. And I'm watching these. I don't think anybody watched the game.
Right.
They won.
Right.
I don't think anybody really knew, because they were just so happy to be together. Everybody missed each other. So I mentioned it to Craig. I said, hey, these agents want They want to be part of something. They want to be recognized. They want to be back together again. So we came up with 3 or 4 events in Chicago and then also Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, and we packed the houses. And I looked at the agents' faces, and they're looking on their phones and they're sharing things, and they just loved it. And I got to thinking, that's a great culture.
Yes.
That's what they were missing. Bricks and mortar do still matter. We maybe don't need to be as big as we used to, but agents, that's why we have big cities, because people want to be part of something.
Amen. Yep, I agree with you 100%. And for me, I can office coffee shops wherever, but there's nothing better than coming in here and feeding off the talent that is in here, right?
Yeah.
My buddy right over here, Jake keeps me motivated and constantly pushing. Tom Hollis is phenomenal. But you're right. To be able to be belly to belly with people is big.
What's the best place to learn, right? So
Yeah.
if I was a new loan officer, I came in here, I knew you were here, I'd want to be in your shadow all the time because
Yeah.
of your knowledge, right? And that's what we're seeing with real estate agents as well. So that's a change in the industry. They said statistically for the people, and even corporations found this out, that people, that were working at home versus working back in the offices, they were 25 to 50% less imaginative
Yeah. Oh, I can believe it.
because they lost that
Get set in
synergy.
your ways.
Yeah, right. Because you're just alone all day long in your house and your computer, right? And I'm not saying anything wrong with that, but I'm just saying that the average person needs more of that. So what attracts agents in the industry to a company? And here's what I found out. What agents really want, number one, it's not commission splits, it's not anything else, it's leadership.
Yeah.
They want leadership. They want you have their back. They want recognition. They want to be part of something. And they want to have opportunities to make unlimited income and have some fun.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm so proud about, the fact that we have additional income streams. This year so far, Mike, and I'm not that big, I'm just here in the Midwest, right?
Right.
My agents have received over $6 million above commissions.
Wow. Go.
That's a chunk of change.
That's a chunk.
That changes lives.
Yes, it does.
So
Yep.
a lot of times when I speak, and I was speaking the other day, I said, there's a reason you're in this room, and you thought it was just to sell real estate, but in reality, you're here to change lives. And they grab a hold of that, and they go like, yeah. Whether they're helping somebody get into a home or sell their home, or whether they're helping somebody have a career, they're making a difference in other people's lives in their community that we serve. So speaking of communities, a portion of every one of our transaction goes into this pot. And what we do, our brokers and agents get to pick a charity of their choice that they want to do, say a fundraiser for, just in their community.
Yeah.
So it's their choice. So it's not our choice, it's their
Right.
choice. And let's say they do a fundraiser and they raise $5,000, right, for, let's say, breast cancer awareness. Well, what Exit really does with that money, then they do a matching grant for the same amount. So now they raise $10,000. And that money goes into the community where it started to begin with.
Yeah.
So we're part of our communities. We're the only company that a portion of every transaction goes back into the communities again. And agents love that.
It's just kind of a resounding message. When I was researching you, family first, leadership within, profit sharing, these are all part of, but I think the family mindset, Craig always talks to me about what do you think makes somebody good and pushes them to great, right? The caring that you're talking about, and it's just not about a paycheck. I know Greg had talked about, he is a firm believer in becoming buddies with your clients. Friendships will lead to the rest.
God, you hit the nail right on the head.
Yeah.
I asked one of our agents the other day, and this guy sells 75 to 80 homes by himself every year.
Wow.
Every year. And I asked him, I said, so how many referrals? He says, I have a referral business. And I said, how many referrals do you expect from a new client? Over a period of time.
Sure.
He says 25. I went like, 25?
Wow.
He said, yeah, well, I do. I service them. So I am the only person that they send real estate to. Well, that's the reason for that. So he works at it real hard. So I always notice that I don't care what the times are like. We always have agents who sell a lot of real estate. And the vast majority of them have a huge sphere and a huge referral network because they know how to market.
Yes.
90% of real estate sales, and this is what agents aren't doing anymore. They're no longer marketing like they should be. Because I'll put it this way: the best marketers always sell the most. And I'll give you a fact of that. For example, who sells the most? What's the top restaurant in the world? Well, it's McDonald's. Is it because they got great food?
Correct.
Got the best marketing.
Yeah.
I heard a stat about the wine companies. The number one wine company is, believe it or not, is Barefoot. Is that the best wine? No.
Right.
I think the number two is like a box wine.
Right.
It's because they do the best marketing.
Yeah.
And so if agents would go back to marketing, get involved with their sphere, and stop worrying about Zillow or Realtor to buying leads. Instead, the leads are right in your backyard, in every place you work. Get out there again. The community will respond to you.
You're leading into my final topic. What advice would you give to people? I mean, obviously, you just said it right there. Mm-hmm. Care about your people. Stay in contact with your people once a quarter, whatever it is. A great friend of mine, Joe Kirk, sends notes, right? Mm-hmm. Happy anniversary, congratulations, etc. What advice would you give? Because we've got agents that are 18 years old up to, the Johns Mabies who've been in the business, you that have been in business forever. Right. What couple nuggets would you leave people with?
Well, I'm going to say about 80% of the agents don't have a good database or a CRM. I don't care which CRM you use, but if you can't track your business, you can't track results. Tracking is the most important part of your business, so that comes through, So, like for example, I asked this gentleman I said, what do you do that's special that people really remember? He said, well, every August I send them a frame because I know how many kids they have and how old they are. I send them an empty picture frame saying, hey, this is a little something for you to put the first day of picture school in.
Nice.
Well, do you think those people love that guy?
Yeah, right.
And then every anniversary, they get a bottle of wine and a box of chocolate delivered to their doorsteps. I mean, a nice bottle of wine, nice chocolates.
Yeah.
Do they love this guy?
Of course.
So every time somebody talks to them about real estate, you got to use our friend. He's the best.
Yeah.
Right? And that's how simple that is. Now, you have to also be involved, if you have an opportunity to be involved in any kind of networking organization, I mean, and you got to stop walking into church and sitting in the pew and just leaving. You got to stop and talk to people at the end. You don't need to talk about selling real estate, but you got to start introducing yourself at church, at school, in community events, and you got to get out and get involved again. And that's, I grew up in an area when I started my business. I was in a rural area. I did everything to let everybody know who I was, and whether I was going bowling to whatever it was, I just was always there, and I got to meet people, and I would recognize them from time to time. So when it came time for me we had a Rolex back then, remember?
Yeah.
I had two of them. They were huge.
Of course.
So every morning I'd start calling, how you doing? What's going on? Until I got my deal for the day.
Yeah.
Which allowed me to average one deal a day. That's what I did every day. And until I got my deal. So that's what I did, and for years, and it just worked out. And so we have to be we just have to kind of be out and about again. And I think that's the best advice I have. And then, look at the numbers. This is a business decision. It's not an emotional decision.
Correct.
If you're going to have a career in real estate, just look at the numbers, because you want to get the best out of the most time you're putting into it. You know what I mean? You have to be able to leverage in terms of what am I spending? What am I getting in return?
Got it.
How does the training work? Am I paying a lot of fees for nothing? Is it hands-on training, or is it just virtual training? What am I really getting? What works best for me and my personality? And I'm just seeing some great results from some new agents, and so that's really, really important to me. I just enjoy it. To me, it's fun.
You can never tell.
Yeah.
I mean, Bill, the coolest thing about this that I have the honor of being able to do is I get to sit across from people like you, and I look at this and you feed off it, and I get done and I make notes. Yeah, because I learn. I've been in the business 30 years. You guys make me learn, but I think the passion, the family mindset is what makes you awesome. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming down. I know you're super, super busy. And for you to come and be the quote-unquote Realtor of the Week, but, again, I'm not going to minimize his role, but I firmly, I'm grateful
Yeah, well,
And-
I really enjoy being here. One more thing I'm going to add about if you're an agent, you're not having the success you want, or you're a new agent, you have to. Our co-chairman Tammy Benelli says you have to have what she calls the dirty dozen. So the dirty dozen is having 12 people that you can rely on in the industry to help you with your career, and you happen to be one of them.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a good mortgage person, you have to have a mortgage person in your dirty dozen.
Yeah,
you got to
good.
have a good insurance agent. You got to have a good accountant, a divorce attorney. Just add them up. Where are you going to get your business from? And then go have a cup of coffee. Go to lunch. Talk about business. Grow through that way. And that's what I did. I was really big into networking. It's always worked for me. And it wasn't long, and all of a sudden I knew thousands and thousands of people, and I still do today. So people still call me, and Bill, who do you know that does this?
Yeah.
I said I'm a resource.
The
I don't
go-to
have
guy.
to be an expert in everything, but as long as I'm a resource, I know somebody. That's what really makes this industry fun, and I've been really enjoying what I'm doing. I'm excited about the future in this real estate business. I think we're going to have a great couple of years. And
Are you looking at expanding states or just developing the states you've
yeah,
got?
so we're going to start. We're going to open up offices in areas where we don't have a presence. We're going
Yeah.
to continue to expand. About 30% of my franchisees expand into other territories.
Sure.
So that means you're not going to do that unless you're successful, And so that part's really a lot of fun. So I'm going to bring more value to my franchisees, brokers, through partnerships and affiliations and everything else. We're going to continue to pour more into them. All my brokers get together once a year. We do a broker retreat. This year we were up I invited them all up to the Omni at the Vikings headquarters.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so they loved it, right next to the Mall of America. And we go into the room, and all my brokers work together and collaborate with best practices. So that's what
Yeah.
we do. So leadership practices, best practices, what's working, what's not working. Let's work together. Let's pat each other on the back. Let's be friends. Let's work together versus working against each other. And that's just been my motto. Family, we're a team. Hand in hand, we can win.
That's gold. That's gold, and I applaud you for doing that. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah,
You guys take notes with this stuff, re-listen to it. This stuff is worth money. You pay coaching when you can get this for free. So gentlemen like this that is a wealth of knowledge with a heart of gold is priceless.
thank you.
So thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks for inviting me. This was fun.
Well, it's always good to catch up
Yeah.
with buddies, and
Yeah.
thanks for delivering those 15 walleye fillets for me. Damn you! Why have to, where are those things? But anyways, thank you guys very much for coming. Realtor Connect is a great Facebook group where there is so much talent. And these interviews are priceless. We also are on YouTube, but more important, and Instagram. Those are both under Realtor of the Week. And again, thank you for joining. If you've got any realtors that want to join the group, please invite them, because like you said, this is gold that you get for free. So thank you, sir. I
Very good.
appreciate you tremendously.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.